You emerge into the world slick and screaming, but there's no cradle waiting, no mother's coo to soothe your raw lungs. Instead, the air hums with incense sharp and choking, as priests with coal-rimmed eyes loom over you, their linen robes brushing your damp skin like whispers of a curse. They're not here to coddle, they're here to judge, to weigh your tiny squirming form against the gods' expectations. You're swaddled in ceremonial linen, stiff and cold, the fabric biting into your flesh as if it knows you're already failing. They call you Horus God of Kingship, a title that burns heavier than the gold they'll drape you in later. The chamber is a haze of myrrh and torchlight shadows dancing on walls carved with jackals and falcons. Outside the Nile murmurs its waters indifferent to your arrival, yet the court insists it sings your name. A star flares in the night sky, and a priest mutters of omens, his voice low, urgent, as if your first cry could topple an empire. You're not just a child, you're a political storm, a divine spark that could ignite or ruin. Somewhere his scribe's reed scratches your name into stone, each stroke a chain you'll never see but always feel. The high priest's gaze lingers, his fingers tracing a scarab amulet as if your wail might summon chaos itself. You sense it even now, the weight of a kingdom's paranoia, the fear that your mortal heart might falter. A woman's shadow, your mother perhaps, or a wet nurse bound by duty, hovers at the edge, her breath catching as she dares not touch you without permission. The air grows thick with whispers of betrayal. Even your cradle is a battlefield. You're a god, they say, but your tiny fists clench against the cold, and somewhere deep you know divinity is a cage, and you're already locked inside. You're 5, maybe 6, but childhood is a stranger you'll never meet. The palace is no playground. It's a labyrinth of stone and the suspicion where every step echoes with purpose you don't yet grasp. Your toys aren't wooden boats or clay dolls, they're sceptres heavy with gold and inlaid with lapis too sacred to touch, let alone chew. You try once, your small teeth grazing the edge, and a caretaker's sharp gasp slices the air like a blade. Blasphemy, she hisses, her eyes wide with terror as if your spit could anger Ra himself. At night, no lullabies soften the dark. Instead, priests with faces like weathered papyrus chant hymns in your honour, their voices droning like desert winds thick with frankincense, and something sour regret perhaps or fear. Your crib is a gilded cage, its bars glinting under torchlight cold as the Nile's winter breath. You're watched always by a rotating guard of caretakers, their hands calloused, but reverent, ensuring you don't crawl, don't stumble, don't dare act human. Every coo, every giggle is recorded, scrutinized as if a god's whims could be mapped like trade routes. They whisper your destiny in your ear, words you can't yet speak, Pharaoh Divine Eternal. You babble back and a scribe notes it as prophecy. Your first steps are a state affair, each wobble a test of cosmic balance. You reach for a cousin's hand, giggling at his braided wig, but a vizier's shadow falls, his voice low. He's 4th in line. Watch him. Already you're learning trust is a luxury you can't afford, and even your laughter is a political act. The palace hums with intrigue, and you, a child god, is beating vulnerable heart. You stir before dawn, the stars mocking your exhaustion through the palace slits as a steward's shadow falls across your bed like a noose tightening. No gentle nudge wakes you. His voice is a blade reciting from a golden tablet etched with the day's burdens, each word a chain linking you to eternity. Naps, a myth for mortals. You're hauled into the dim scriptorium where scrolls unfurl like serpents, and your tutor eyes gleaming with fanatic zeal drills hieroglyphs into your skull. These aren't doodles, they're curses in disguise, birds' eyes inverted loaves that decree laws or doom souls with a misplaced stroke. You trace one wrong falcon and his hiss echoes. You've just damned a village divine one. The air thickens with dust and dread, your fingers cramping around the reed ink, staining your skin like blood from an unseen wound. Religion follows a haze of incense that clings to your throat, the priest quizzing you on God's names, the ritual blink for offerings, the sacred art of blessing a cucumber, lest you offend Osiris and unleash famine. Mess up and his frown is a storm cloud, as if your childish stumble could shatter the heavens. You feel it, the weight of their gaze, probing for weakness, whispering reports to shadows in the hall. Math isn't play, it's monument-making geometry for stacking millions of stones into triangles that pierce the sky, no leaning allowed, or the gods mock your failure. Public speaking drills come next, your voice echoing in empty chambers, practicing speeches that command weather. Where a stutter could crash grain markets or summon plagues, the schedule grinds on relentless as the Niles flood, your young body aching under the invisible yoke. You glimpse a servant girl's fleeting smile, her eyes a forbidden spark in this divine prison. But a vizier's cough snaps you back, intrigue simmers even here, where education is a battlefield and every lesson hones you for the throne's savage embrace. Congrats, kid. You're learning to rule, but the first rule is survival, and the palace walls drip with plots thicker than the ink on your hands. You're 10, barely tall enough to peer over a chariot's rim, yet the tutors descend like vultures, their scrolls unfurling maps of blood and sand. Military strategy isn't a game, it's your cradle now diagrams of battlefield formations scratched into clay river crossings, plotted with ruthless precision. You've never hurled a stone in rage, but here you learn to smite Nubians casually as if conquest were a dinner chat. The air hums with the scent of oiled leather and sweat. A general's scarred hand guiding yours over the tablet, his eyes flickering with ambition. Ally or usurper? You sense the intrigue, the way his grip lingers, testing your resolve, whispering of glories that mask the gore. Philosophy? Forget pondering stars. It's Ma'at, the cosmic balance you must enforce or watch. Crops wither, rebels rise, floods rage. It sounds poetic until a drought hits and fingers point at you, the boy god who failed. No abstract debates, just sacred laws drilled like wounds, ensuring criminals kneel and gods stay appeased during flood season. Your tutors are hybrids, educators by day, spies by night, their praise laced with reports to the court. One slips a dagger into your lesson for protection, he murmurs, but his smile hides venom. Betrayal's first tastes sharp as the blade's edge. By dusk your head throbs with symbols, schedule's paranoia blooming like night jasmine, its scent seductive yet poisonous. You collapse onto silken sheets, but sleep evades, haunted by visions of battles unborn where your command could spill blood rivers. A forbidden thought creeps a servant's touch in the shadows, her warmth against the cold divine mask. But even that sparks intrigue, a potential ally or trap. You're being forged, not taught, hammered into a ruler amid whispers of coups and curses. Pity the Pharaoh to be, your education isn't enlightenment, it's a slow visceral sharpening for the throne's brutal edge. You dash through the palace gardens, the sun baking the sandstone paths, laughter bubbling from your throat like a forbidden spring. But even here innocence is a veil over venom. That boy racing beside you, his tunic flapping like a flag of truce. Son of the high priest, his grin wide, but eyes calculating, weighing your every stumble as potential weakness. You share a fig sticky juice on your fingers, but it's not friendship. It's a transaction, his father's ambitions dripping from each bite. The girl with the braided hair, her voice a soft melody as she points at lotus blooms. She's betrothed to your cousin, her words laced with dynastic threads, pulling you into webs you can't yet see. No simple playmates surround you. They're variables in a grand equation. Bloodlines twisting like Nile currents, parents hovering like hawks, their smiles masks over sharpened beaks. You tumble in the grass, breathless, but a guard's shadow falls his whisper to a scribe noting your favoritism too much time. With the general's nephew, who always wins at Senate, his victories are not chance but strategy grooming alliances in child's guise. Privacy. A joke. Your laughter echoes off walls that listen every shared secret, a seed of conspiracy. Fun is suspect, disappear for a moment, and alarms ring the divine, not allowed to frolic like a farmer's goat. You feel it, the heat of their gazes. Not warmth, but fire, testing loyalties in games that aren't games. A cousin's hand brushes yours electric, a spark of genuine connection amid the intrigue, but even that hides daggers, her father's plot simmering in the background. The palace thrums with hidden currents where friends are foes in linen, and every bond is a potential chain. Congrats, young god. Your playground is a battlefield, and the first lesson is betrayal's bitter taste sharper than any sword. You learn early, the palace a forge hammering your heart into steel, that every smile is a shield, every word a feint in an endless duel. Favoritism is a poison arrow. Invite one child to Senate and scrolls fill with pictogram complaints, nobles' daughters whispering of slights that breed midnight plots. You speak kindly to a girl, her eyes flickering with something real amid the artifice and rumours ignite like desert brushfire. You've chosen a queen at 9, they say her touch a forbidden flame against your skin, but it's a trap. Her father's ambition coiled like a cobra. Become guarded, they teach without words, plight as a diplomat's blade, neutral as the Nile's flow. You master laughter that rings hollow, echoing off marble halls, complimenting tunics you despise their fabrics, hiding daggers. Every friendship balanced like scales of mat, equal or else slight one, and families conspire over breakfast wine, poisoned perhaps, or laced with whispers of treason. You feel the isolation creep, a cold serpent winding through your veins, as play turns to performance, genuine joy, a vulnerability you can't afford. No new friends, the royal creed, not from want but necessity. Today's playmate could be tomorrow's assassin rival, or forced kin in a twisted union. A cousin's gaze lingers too long, heat in his eyes mirroring your confusion, but you avert knowing intimacy invites intrigue. Betrayal's kiss sharper than any lover's. The palace pulses with savage undercurrents where bonds are brittle, and you, the divine child, navigate with a mask forged in fire. Pity the Pharaoh in waiting. Your heart hardens not from stone but from the visceral grind of survival, where even affection is a battlefield scar. You stand before the mirror of polished obsidian, your reflection. A stranger draped in divinity's heavy shroud, the priest's chant slithering into your urders like serpents seeking a home. They've confirmed it, your Horus incarnate, not some gilded prince, but a god walking the earth. The scrolls proclaiming it in ink that smells of eternity and entrapment. The people bow their foreheads, kissing dust, convinced you birthed the sunlight itself. Adorable folly until the eclipse darkens the sky, and their eyes turn accusatory blades hidden in their reverence. You sneeze and a courtier gasps, declaring it heavenly decree, his voice trembling as if your phlegm could summon storms or shatter Ma'at's fragile balance. Yet divinity chafes like ill-fitted linen against your skin, pimples blooming on your chin like mortal rebellions, stomach churning from overripe figs while you pretend omnipotence. You're all-powerful, they insist, of course, but 5 guards shadow your every step, their spears glinting with unspoken threats, priests murmuring incantations to ward off your clumsiness. Trip over a sacred cat, its hiss a supernatural omen, and whispers ripple through the halls, bad signs, perhaps a curse from Anubis, or worse, a rival cousin's subtle sorcery, his gaze lingering too long, laced with envy and intrigue. You command the Nile's floods, but a drought scorches the fields and blame falls like an executioner's axe, visceral and unforgiving, your name cursed in starving villages where blood spills in desperate riots. Rituals consume you, endless and exhausting, your voice intoning divine phrases that taste like ash, eating sanctified meats that turn your gut, wielding golden props in ceremonies where sweat beads like forbidden desire under your tunic. Privately doubt creeps a seductive shadow whispering, boredom, heresy. I'm no god, Habim. You think, but voicing it invites chaos. Priest's eyes narrowing like daggers, a cousin's smile sharpening as he plots your theological fall. You bless statues, wave from balconies, your smile a mask over the loneliness atop this divine peak, where power isolates and every step echoes with the ghosts of clumsy gods before you. Their legacies are raised in blood and sand. Being divine isn't freedom. It's a performance eternal and excruciating with the universe's blade forever at your throat. Your voice cracks like fracturing papyrus bodies shifting in ways that ignite unfamiliar fires, and just as confusion coils tight advisors, slither in with scrolls and smirks, unfurling your fate. Time for a wife, your sister, perhaps. The word hangs heavy, incestuous tradition cloaked in purity, keeping the bloodline divine yet dangerously twisted. No genetic seers to warn of the horrors bred in such unions. Romance, a phantom, preference irrelevant. Its optics your godhood entwined with hers, a union of jawlines and shared wet nurses, her touch a forbidden heat that stirs both desire and dread in your awakening flesh. The palace buzzes like a hive of scarabs, officials debating degrees of relation in hushed tones, priests ecstatic over heavenly continuity, servants wagering on your discomfort. You nod, feigning composure, but inside revulsion churns confusion, a blade twisting deeper. Her eyes familiar, yet now charged a gaze that lingers like a curse from the gods. Heirs demanded swiftly, your barely sprouted chin hair, no excuse, the kingdom's eyes on your loins, pressure mounting like a sandstorm, hormones raging in secret battles. You're paraded with her niece or half-sister in rituals where fertility symbols gleam, your hand in hers, electric, a spark of illicit sensuality amid the divine farce. Privately discussed surges are urged to flee into the desert's embrace, scream into dunes that swallow secrets, but voicing it marks you unstable. A weakness rivals pounce upon with poisoned daggers or supernatural whispers. Perhaps a cursed amulet slipped under your pillow, omens twisted by a jealous uncle's intrigue. So you attend the banquet, smile through the vows, convince yourself it's for Egypt's sake. Even as betrayal simmers in the shadows, a courtier's glance hinting at plots to exploit your unease. Royal puberty genetics, warped politics, savage denial a veil over the visceral tangle of desire and doom, where love is a throne of thorns and your heir might bear the marks of your family's savage legacy. 3 elbows, or worse, a soul fractured by the god's cruel jest. You ascend the dais, the air thick with incense and anticipation as priests swarm like sacred scarabs, gluing a fake beard to your chin with beeswax that pulls at your skin like a lover's jealous grasp. The cobra diadem strapped to your forehead hisses symbolically, its weight a constant threat, making you resemble a statue carved from anxiety and stone, back aching under the gaze of thousands. Glory a farce. The crown descends, no light tiara, but a jewel-layered monstrosity of leather linen, and metal red for Lower Egypt's fertile deltas, white for Upper's arid heights, uniting realms in theory, but crushing your neck in practice like balancing empires on a fragile spine. Ceremonial robes envelop you, long kilts whispering against your thighs, leopard skins sashaying with predatory grace, golden breastplates cold and unyielding against your chest, trapping heat like a desert trap. Linen clings damply, gold suffocates sandals, mere papyrus illusions bite into your souls. No support for the divine march ahead. You stand for hours under Ra's merciless eye, priests chanting cosmic tendencies on your posture, a bug crawling up your shin ignored, lest you fidget and offend the gods, summoning famine or flood with a twitch. Every feather in your headdress, every hue of lapis or carnelian pulses, with meaning wrong symbol, and a god's wrath unleashes political storms brewing in the shadows where rivals whisper of your unease. The palace intrigue simmers beneath the pageantry. A vizier's glance lingers too long on your strained smile, perhaps plotting to exploit a falter, while a half-sister's eyes hold forbidden fire, her presence a sensual distraction amid the divine charade. You rule, but the throne's first lesson is endurance. Sweat mingling with sanctity, chafing gold, a reminder that divinity itches, burns ways like the betrayals waiting in the wings. Congrats, Pharaoh. You're crowned, but the real crown is the savage expectation to wear this spiritual armor without cracking, even as the universe's blade hovers ready to strike at the first sign of mortal weakness. You wield unlimited power. A living god enthroned in gold and fear, but with it comes the abyss of blame, every cosmic hiccup pinned to your divine chest like a scarab brooch laced with poison. Rain lashes the fields, too fiercely flooding villages in muddy chaos, and whispers rise. Pharaoh unbalanced, Maat fractured by his hand. Drought cracks the earth, crops withering like forgotten lovers, and the kingdom's eyes bore into you. Accusatory blades, gods punishing your unseen sins, perhaps a ritual slight or a forbidden glance at a courtier's curvaceous form. Even a stubbed toe on temple steps sparks rumour's bastet, offended your sneeze during offerings, the visceral insult drawing feline wrath. As head of state, religion, and cosmos, you maintain the universe's pulse. Sun falters at dawn, and it's not clouds, but your neglected prayers. Priest scrolls, branding you negligent rivals, smirking. In shadows, plotting coups under supernatural pretexts. Ignorance unthinkable. Why the frog plague demands a vizier, his eyes gleaming with intrigue, and you improvise a ritual voice steady as your heart races, lest admission invite daggers or demonic whispers from cursed relics buried in palace vaults. Dreams invade public domain, a nightmare of serpents coiling around your throat, and astrologers convene, scribbling dooms, declaring temples built to cage your subconscious horrors, a headache morphing into national omen, scribes noting it as apocalyptic tremor. One extra sneeze and goats bleed on altars, precautionary crimson staining sands. Famine strikes uprisings, erupt plagues, crawl from the Nile's depths, sandstorms blind armies. Crocodiles claim courtiers, and it's not nature's savagery, but your weakness, the people murmuring of replacement. A cousin's divine surety sharper than his hidden blade. You parade in incense veils, flanked by guards whose loyalty wavers like mirages, wondering if the statue's honour or tombs await absorbing every mosquito's bite, every undercooked goose's revenge as personal failures. Ruling isn't leading, it's a visceral devouring of faults. Perfection, your armour against the universe's relentless bloodied accusations, where divinity means eternal culpability and the throne's shadow hides betrayals waiting to strike. You awaken to chants slicing the pre-dawn hush, priests' voices, a relentless tide, their perfumed robes brushing your skin like ghostly caresses, judging your every breath as if a slouch could unravel the stars. No soft dawn for you. Ritual demands purity water from a sacred pool, splashed cold as the afterlife's grip shocking your flesh. Rivulets tracing paths that awaken forbidden stirrings beneath your divine mask. You're barely conscious, but wardrobe awaits linen blessed under moonlight, folded with incantations layered 30 deeper, falcon-shaped chestplate pressing against your chest, heavy as the secrets it hides. The temple beckons a scribe unrolling a scroll long as a crocodile's maw, your hands guided through gestures, palm here, nod there, a smirk at a moon statue that masks your boredom chanting names from childhood drills. One misspoken syllable and panic erupts, the Nile dries, cattle drop foaming. Moon dims your fault ma'ats, balance teetering on your incense waving precision, smoke curling seductive yet choking like a lover's breath laced with poison. Hours drag, no yawn permitted, no slouch. Certainly, no whisper of skipping the oil rubbing on 43 statues each. Touch a visceral reminder of your godhood's grind, cramps shooting through your limbs like arrows from hidden assassins. This isn't duty. It's theatre priests performing with fervent eyes, scribes etching every move, onlookers nodding in grim awe while you stand rigid, pretending no pain in your god leg, sweat beading under gold like illicit desire suppressed. Before ruling commences, exhaustion claims you. But the day presses on 12 more rituals, 3 appearances, a scripted smile hiding the intrigue bubbling beneath a priest's lingering gaze, perhaps plotting with a rival or a servant's subtle brush, her warmth, a spark of sensuality in this sacred cage. Mornings dictated by stars, omens, checklists drier than tax scrolls, yet laced with savage undercurrents where one falter invites betrayal's blade, the sun rising, not on freedom but on your endless bloodied performance. You rule supreme, yet every shadow in the palace conceals a dagger, every ally a mask over malice, their bows deep but eyes flickering with calculations of your fall. Guards swear loyalty spears gleaming, but gold or goats or a priest's spiritual bribe could turn their blades inward, a visceral thrust in the dark. Advisors nod obsequiously, smiles like honeyed venom, casually mentioning your cousin's military favour, his gaze across the hall charged with ambition, perhaps plotting a coup amid whispers of your weakness. Even your cupbearer thrusts drinks with over-eager hands, insisting on their purity, but you taste the paranoia sharp as scorpion sting, wondering if this sip hides death's embrace. Extended family twists like a nest of asps, half-brothers, uncles, endless, Ramesses clamouring for your throne, not kin, but successors in waiting. Their hallway chats, ambushes, banquets, potential poisons where wine flows red as blood from slit throats. The decorative cobra on your chair. Check if it breathes its fangs, a supernatural harbinger, or a rival's curse. Assassinations. Egypt's savage sport cloaked in divine mysteries date. Wine mixed with venom. A lover's kiss delivering toxin bodies vanishing into the Nile's maw. You counter with tasters whose gulps echo your dread rotating servants to foil plots. Random routines disrupting betrayals, but sleep evades in triple-locked chambers. Dagger under pillow. Cold against your skin, guard at the door practicing innocence while his hand twitches toward his blade. The exhaustion isn't evasion, it's feigning ignorance, calm divinity, masking fear, weakness invites opportunity. A vizier's subtle touch during council, a sensual lure or trap intrigue simmering like desert heat. Every handshake hides a scheme, compliments veils for sharpened knives, trust. A fatal misstep ending your reign in bloodied silence. Ruling survival in a linen-draped slaughterhouse where daytime bows turn to nighttime stabbings, and your throne's velvet conceals the stains of predecessors' savage ends. You embody divinity-wise and unyielding, yet in the blistering heat your gold chestplate clings like a lover's desperate embrace, your smile, a facade masking the urge to collapse under the weight of eternal composure. Public life is a relentless pageant procession snaking through thronged streets where adulation mixes with fear, citizens pressing close their sweat-slicked bodies, brushing yours in accidental intimacy that sparks forbidden thrills amid the chaos. You perch on a chariot waving as a god on display, but secretly you dread fainting into the crowd, a human slip interpreted as omen, unleashing riots or rival plots whispered in shadowed alleys. Robes cascade in elaborate folds, jewellery glinting like stars fallen to earth. Sceptres heavy in your grip, headdress a portable furnace trapping, heat linen sodden against your skin, sandals squelching with each step like wounds reopening. Hours dissolve in rituals, blessing sacred cows, their warm hides under your palm, evoking sensual memories of hidden trysts, cutting ribbons with gold knives that could as easily slit throats in palace intrigues. Offerings pile from nobles whose eyes betray distrust, their gifts laced with subtle poisons, or curses from supernatural relics, forcing your nod and muttered blessings while your mind races with suspicions. The sun hammers down merciless as a god's judgment makeup streaking like tears of betrayal incense, choking your throat like a strangler's grasp. Every gaze dissecting your perfection falter, show annoyance reveal humanity and rumours ignite. Pharaoh displeased weak heavens, quaking. Miss a goose. Blessing and drought whispers spread violence brewing in starving mobs, clashing with guards, blood-staining sands. Festivals mock respite banquets where you starve amid feasts, dances immobile plays where you enact yourself silently, all theatre demanding your role as unflinching deity. Limping back to the palace, sweat-soaked and divine, you ponder how many more statues to anoint before the gods grant reprieve, but intrigue awaits a courtier's hand lingering too long in farewell, her touch a spark of sensuality promising alliance or assassination. Public Pharaoh pretending profound ecstasy while roasting in ceremonial finery, a visceral performance where every bow hides a blade and the crowd's roar could turn to savage howls at the first crack in your godly veneer. You gleam as Horus on earth, lord of Nile's bounties, but lurking behind your radiant facade towers the priesthood, their temples not mere sanctuaries, but empires wielding gold grain and God's whispers more potent than your scepter. These shaven-headed seers control vast estates, banks swelling with tithes, farms feeding legions, schools moulding minds, libraries, hoarding secrets that could unravel dynasties, tax offices under divine guise, their ledgers a web ensnaring your throne. You decree, but they interpret omens, twisting stars or bird flights into portents that undermine your will. A subtle violence where a faltering ritual invites accusations of cosmic imbalance, mobs stirred to frenzy by their veiled sermons. Intrigue pulses in temple shadows. A high priest's gaze lingers during offerings, his coal-lined eyes holding forbidden knowledge, perhaps a scroll detailing your half-sister's illicit affair leverage to demand more lands or silence a rival cult. They craft your image-sculpting statues where your features blend with deities, but whisper of your human frailties pimples as signs of divine disfavour. A lover's moan overheard as heresy inviting supernatural curses from buried artefacts. You navigate this savage dance, granting privileges to Amun's cult while pitting them against Osiris's divide, and conquer amid incense veils. But one misstep and they declare you unfit, rallying nobles with visions of plagues or floods as punishment for your unbalanced rule. Sensuality entwines with power plays. A priestess's ritual dance, her hips swaying hypnotic offers. Alliance or entrapment, her touch during the anointments, electric, promising secrets or seduction leading to downfall. They hoard wealth that could fund your armies, forcing you to beg like a supplicant, their refusals cloaked in piety, while underground chambers hide relics pulsing with eerie energy, omens manipulated to erode your authority. You're their mascot divine, yet leashed the throne a precarious perch where priestly daggers, literal or metaphorical, hover, ready to strike in bloodied coups disguised as godly will. Ruling Egypt. A visceral tug-of-war with these god-whisperers where victory means surviving their intrigues and defeat ends in erasure. Your name chiseled away in eternal savage damnation. You navigate a labyrinth of blood ties twisted into thorns. Your family, not a haven, but a viper's nest where every embrace hides fangs dripping with ambition's venom. Half-brothers eye your throne with hungry gazes. Uncles plot in perfumed chambers, their whispers slithering like supernatural curses from ancient tombs, each relative a potential usurper cloaked in kinship. Succession haunts like a spectre your heirs pawns in a savage game, multiple wives demanded to spawn divine offspring. But jealousy festers, consorts scheming with poisoned coal or illicit lovers, their beds battlegrounds where betrayal blooms in heated forbidden nights. A sister's touch lingers too long during the feasts, her eyes a blaze of sensual intrigue, promising alliance or downfall in a union that blurs love and legacy, genetics warped into monstrosities. Children emerge, but paranoia devours joy. Is that son truly yours, or a rival's seed planted in shadowed trysts? You watch them play innocent laughter echoing off walls that conceal daggers, tutors reporting loyalties, a daughter's smile masking her mother's plot to elevate a bastard. Suspicious deaths mount a brother, chokes on wine eyes, bulging in accusation. A wife's sudden fever, a veil for arsenic's kiss, violence, visceral as ribs crack under assassin's boots in midnight halls. The palace, your gilded cage pulses with drama, cousins duel over imagined slights, blood-staining marble like omens from angered gods while priests manipulate lineages with forged prophecies, their hands in every womb. You groom successors but trust fractures. One son's ambition gleams like a blade, another's weakness invites coups, supernatural whispers from cursed relics fueling fears of ghostly retribution. Family. A brutal arena where love twists into intrigue, succession, a blood-soaked crown, passed amid betrayals, and your legacy dangles on the edge of a knife ready to carve your name from history in savage erasure. You gasp your last, the palace air thick with myrrh and mourning, but death is no release. It's a spectacle, your body, a political relic twisted in rituals that strip mortality's veil with savage precision. Embalmers descend like jackals' hooks, probing your nostrils to yank the brain in grey pulpy strands discarded as unworthy, while incisions split your side organs harvested with clinical cruelty, heart weighed against Ma'at's feather, in whispered judgments, lungs, liver stomach, intestines coiled into canopic jars guarded by God's snarling heads, their eyes seeming to gleam with supernatural hunger. Natron salts bury you desiccating flesh over weak skin shrinking, taut over bones like a cursed shroud, the air reeking of decay masked by incense that fails to hide the visceral rot. They stuff you with linen and sawdust, a divine raisin preserved for eternity, but intrigue lingers even here, a rival's agent slipping poison into the resins, ensuring your mummy crumbles in afterlife betrayal, or a priest's subtle curse invoking restless spirits to haunt your cay. Wrappings bind you layer upon linen, inscribed with spells, amulets nestled against your withered form, a scarab over the heart pulsing with eerie energy warding off devourers in the Duart's shadows. Your death fuels palace plots, successors clash in bloodied halls, knives flashing in fraternal fury, a consort's tears hiding her sour hand in your demise. Sensual alliances forged in grief's bed. The body once divine now, a stuffed husk, paraded in golden masks, eyes painted to gaze eternally, but beneath the savage truth death, as continuation of life's betrayals, your essence, trapped in a form vulnerable to looters' greedy blades, supernatural curses awaiting those who disturb your uneasy rest. Your husk lies in splendour, nested in coffins of gold and lapis, each layer a barrier against oblivion. But the tomb is no sanctuary, it's a fortress against looters' savage greed and supernatural vengeance. Carved deep into valleys of kings' walls, pulse with spell. From the Book of the Dead, instructions for your car to navigate Duat's perils. Weigh your heart against the feather-evade Amit's devouring jaws, her crocodile maw snapping in eerie hunger. Treasures pile around you, chariots for spectral pursuits, Ushabti slaves animated by incantations to toil in afterlife fields, jewels glinting like forbidden desires, but intrigue shadows, even death. The successor's chisel erases your cartouche, dooming your soul to wander nameless, a ghostly betrayal echoing through eternity. Construction devours lives, slaves' blood, mixing with mortar in visceral sacrifice ramps, slick with sweat and screams as blocks grind into place, the air thick with dust and curses from overworked overseers plotting quiet rebellions. Seals close the entrance, but cracks invite thieves, their knives flashing in torchlight, ripping amulets from your bandaged form, supernatural guardians, awakening, scarab swarms burrowing into flesh, mummies stirring with jerky malice, curses unleashing plagues on desecrators, boils erupting like divine wrath. A priestess's final rite, her hands tracing your sarcophagus with oiled fingers, a sensual farewell laced with ambition, perhaps slipping a rival's talisman to curse your journey. Afterlife promises rebirth, but it's a gamble. Osiris's realm of reed fields where you plough eternally unless rituals hold but forgotten names fade your essence. A savage dissolution into nothingness. Tombs become museums millennia later, your body gawked at by strangers, legacy reduced to relic supernatural echoes, perhaps stirring unrest in glass cases. Death's chamber opulent yet ominous, where power persists in cursed gold and your eternal rest teeters on the blade of betrayal violence and the gods' capricious gaze. You charge into battle chariot wheels, churning sand into bloodied mud, the air rent with screams and the metallic tang of spilled viscera. No choice in this savage cycle war is your divine duty, borders demanding expansion lest enemies perceive weakness and strike like cobras in the night. Lid personally or whispers brand you coward priests, twisting omens to undermine a rival general's eyes gleaming with intrigue as arrows whistle past, perhaps aimed by his hand. Propaganda swells victories, scribes carve tales of you, smiting hordes single-handed, but reality is terror, your heart pounding under armour, sweat mingling with fear, the visceral crunch of bones under wheels, enemies' guts spilling in steaming piles. Cycle endless. Nubians raid Hittites, encroach. Libyans swarm each campaign a bloodbath, where you rally troops with godly roars, but privately dread the blade's kiss at a soldier's loyalty fracturing mid-charge for gold or grudge. Intrigue rides with you, spies in ranks, poisoning rations or sabotaging chariots. Supernatural portents manipulated by shamans, invoking sandstorms that blind your forces, lightning cracking as if gods disfavour your command. A captive princess's gaze lingers, her curves a sensual trap offering alliance or assassination, her whispers in camp tents promising pleasure, laced with betrayal, a dagger hidden in silken folds. Return triumphant, exaggerating conquests in temple reliefs, slaves paraded in chains, clanking like omens, but defeat looms armies, crushed your name cursed in defeated halls. Violence rebounding in uprisings where former allies turn savage throats, slit in midnight ambushes. Leadership. A throne of skulls where war's glory masks the gore, every battle. A roll of dice with gods who delight in your terror and peace. A fleeting illusion shattered by the next border skirmish's bloody dawn. Your reign ends, but legacy dangles like a frayed thread over oblivion's abyss. Successors wielding chisels like daggers to rewrite history in savage strokes. They erase your cartouche from temples, names vanishing under plaster veils. A spiritual murder dooming your car to wander nameless in Duat's shadows. Supernatural retribution for perceived slights. Perhaps a slighted consort's curse lingering, her vengeful spirit invoking demons to haunt your erased monuments. Walls once proclaiming your glories now bear another's triumphs. Battles you bled for claimed by usurpers' violence, echoing in the desecration hammers cracking stone like bones in a forgotten brawl. Intrigue outlives you. Priests collude with new pharaohs, scrolls burned in midnight fires, ashes scattering like betrayed lovers, promises, while looters ravage tombs, knives, prying jewels from your mummy's grasp. curses activating in eerie glows, plagues, befalling thieves as boils erupt and shadows stalk. Millennia pass, your body unearthed, gawked in glass cages, legacy reduced to museum curiosity. Tourists' fingers tracing your withered form, ignorant of the sensual dramas, brutal wars, forbidden desires that pulse through your veins. A rival's final betrayal history rewritten. Or divine spark dimmed, but perhaps a relic's whisper stirs supernatural energy, pulsing faintly, awaiting a chance to reclaim your name in bloodied resurgence. Congrats, eternal ruler. Your legacy isn't immortality, but a precarious etch in sand vulnerable to erasure's blade, where power's echo fades amid the savage rewrite of time, leaving you a spectral footnote in the gods' cruel ledger. You reflect in twilight's hush, the palace, a tomb of echoes, your life, a tapestry woven with gold threads and bloodstains divinity, a crown of thorns piercing deeper than any assassin's blade. Misrepresented in scrolls and stones, romanticized as omnipotent, but truth is visceral, endless rituals grinding your bones, intrigues and twisting like lovers' limbs in forbidden nights, violence silling in wars where your commands drowned in screams. Rewards. Fleeting a mention in travel blogs millennia hence, your mummy a sideshow, not the god who wrestled cosmos and kin. They forget the savagery betrayals in banquet halls, wine poisoned mid-sip, sensual alliances crumbling into coups, supernatural curses from rivals' relics haunting your dreams. You ruled empires but ended a skeleton on display legacy, humiliated in glass, perhaps a faint eerie pulse stirring unrest among viewers, a whisper of your unquiet soul. Pity the Pharaoh. Life wasn't glory, but a brutal performance where divinity demanded perfection amid human frailty, and the final curtain falls not in peace, but in the savage grind of erasure and echo. You are born in 1015, a squalling infant thrust into Norway's storm of steel and ambition, the air thick with the tang of blood and salt from clashing Viking clans. No cradle rocks you gently. Instead, the wooden hall creaks under the weight of war, cries your mother's weary breaths, mingling with the smoke of hearth stoked for battle councils. You're Harold, son of a petty king brother to Olaf the Saint King, striving to unify Norway's fractured tribes under one bloodied banner. Your first wail echoes like a war horn omens, whispered by seers with rune-carved staffs, their eyes glinting with visions of your future, a chess piece in a savage game, destined for glory or a grave. The fjords outside roar with chaos, longships slicing waves, their dragon prows snarling, as if alive while your kin sharpen blades, their laughter raw-edged with the thrill of slaughter. A nursemaid's touch is fleeting her warmth, a forbidden comfort in this brutal cradle, her whispered tales of Odin's ravens, hinting at supernatural fates awaiting you. Already intrigue swirls rival jarls eye your swaddled form, plotting to snuff your line before it roots their hands stained with the blood of kin slain in midnight raids. You're trained from birth not for play but for survival, a future warlord moulded in the crucible of Norway's relentless wars, where loyalty is a blade's edge and betrayal a lover's kiss in the dark. At 15 you ride into the battle, the earth trembling under hooves, your heart pounding like war drums as Stiklestad's fields bloom red with Viking blood. Olaf, your sainted half-brother, leads with fervent zeal, his cross-raised banner clashing with pagan axes, but chaos reigns blades clash. Screams rend the air, and the stench of gore clings like a lover's desperate grasp. You swing a sword too heavy for your frame, its edge biting flesh, a visceral thrill of survival mixed with terror. Your boyish frame dodging spears hurled by foes with eyes like wolves. A rival jarl's daughter watches from the hill, her gaze a spark of forbidden allure, but her father's banner signals betrayal. His men turning on Olaf mid-charge, their knives flashing in savage ambush. The battle breaks as you. Olaf falls, his throat to lashed blood pooling like a sacrificial offering, and a spear grazes your side, pain searing as you flee into the forest. breath-ragged, pursued by the shadows whispering of supernatural vengeance, Odin's ravens circling above. Exile awaits, your childhood shattered. In that crimson field, the sting of defeat, sharper than any blade. You limp toward the Kievan Rus intrigue trailing, like a shadow traitors among your kin, their plots woven in mead halls promising your head for a price. Stiklestad's loss brands you not just with scars, but with a hunger for power, a vow to reclaim Norway forged in the brutal forge of youth's end, where love, war and betrayal entwine like thorns in your bloodied path. You flee Stiklestad's carnage wounds throbbing like accusations, the forest swallowing you in shadows where supernatural whispers rustle leaves, Odin's ravens mocking your defeat, or perhaps a rival's curse trailing like smoke. Kievan Rus beckons Yaroslav the Wise's court, a refuge of gilded halls and fur-clad intrigue where you arrive. Bloodied, a Viking ghost seeking solace in Slavic snows. Yaroslav eyes, sharp as his crown's jewels, sees potential in your scarred frame, enlisting you as mercenary, your axe tasting rust blood in border skirmishes' blades, clashing with Pecheneg hordes, their screams visceral echoes of your lost home. You fight fiercely, tactics honed in Norway's fjords, now carving paths through eastern steppes, impressing with clever ambushes, traps sprung in dawn mists, enemies' throats slit in silent raids, blood freezing on frost-kissed ground. A princess's gaze lingers, Elisaveta. Perhaps her touch a forbidden warmth in the cold halls, sensual promise amid political webs, her father's ambitions entwining with yours, in whispered alliances that could bloom into marriage or betrayal. Intrigue simmers, court schemers eye your rise, daggers hidden in samovar steam, supernatural omens invoked by shamans to undermine you. A wolf's howl foretelling doom, or a lover's betrayal laced with poison in mead. Command grows troops rallying to your banner, regret gnawing for kin, slain in fury, but discipline forges loyalty, your name whispered in awe. Beyond Rus lies ambition's horizon, a vow to reclaim Norway, burning hotter than any hearth fueled by battle's savage thrill, and the electric pull of forbidden desires in exile's embrace. You mature into a warlord in Rus's unforgiving forge, body hardening. Like tempered steel, each scar a tale of visceral clashes, axes crunching bone blood, spraying in arcs under steppe skies. Clever strategies define you, feints, luring foes into kill zones, night raids where throats are slit in silent savagery, enemies waking to your blade's cold kiss. Discipline reigns, allies spared undue wrath, but regret shadows for those felled in rage, their ghosts whispering in winds, supernatural echoes of Odin's judgment, or a shaman's curse invoked by defeated kin. Reputation swells like a storm tide, your name, a war cry echoing across borders, troops flocking to your command, their loyalty forged in shared gore and gold. A noblewoman's allure tempts her curves, a sensual distraction in fur-lined tents touches electric amid intrigue, her brother's envy plotting betrayal, poison in wine, or a dagger in the dark political webs tangling with desire's threads. You plan beyond Rus ambition, a fire in your veins, Norway's throne a distant gleam, but first consolidate power here, crushing rebellions with brutal efficiency, heads rolling in snow turned crimson. The court buzzes with your legend, Yaroslav's favour, a double-edged sword alliance or entrapment, his daughter's hand, a prize laced with strings. Supernatural omens punctuate your rise, a comet streaking, as if Thor's hammer seers divining your fate in rune-cast bones, hinting at empires to conquer or dooms to evade. Your Harold Hardrada now, not boy but beast reputation, a weapon sharper than any axe poised for greater horizons amid the savage dance of war, love and treachery. You depart the ruse with a hardened heart and a band of loyal warriors, the wind whipping across the Black Sea, like a lover's frantic caress. Sails billowing as Constantinople's golden domes rise on the horizon, a beacon of opulence and treachery. Byzantium's walls loom intricate mosaics glinting under the sun, but beneath lies a viper's nest of eunuchs and emperors, their smiles hiding daggers sharper than any Viking axe. You join the Varangian Guard elite mercenaries sworn to the Basileus, your axe a ticket into this labyrinth of silk and steel, where guardsmen like you tall-bearded Norsemen stand as bulwarks against coups, their loyalty bought with gold but tested in blood. Intrigue envelops you immediately palace, whispers of plots. A courtesan's gaze lingering too long in the barracks, her curves a sensual snare promising secrets or poison in scented wine. You guard emperors through nights thick with tension blades clashing in shadowed corridors during uprisings, the visceral crunch of skulls under your boot as rebels fall blood pooling on marble floors etched with Christian icons. Supernatural omens haunt the halls, ghosts of slain emperors murmuring curses, or a comet streaking as if heralding your rise, or fall seers divining your fate in entrails that steam with eerie warmth. Byzantium isn't just a city, it's a crucible forging your ambition where every patrol could end in betrayal, a comrade's knife in your back amid the thrill of forbidden liaisons, the Empire's savage underbelly pulsing with violence and desire, priming you for conquests yet to come. You plunge into Byzantium's wars, the Varangian Guard, your brotherhood of steel, Sicily's shores, first tasting your fury. Saracen forts crumbling under axe blows, screams mingling with the sea's roar as blood sprays visceral and hot limbs severed in savage hacks. Aegean islands follow pirate nests raised in night assaults, flames licking timber as you chase foes into the surf, their pleas drowned in waves stained crimson. Anatolia's dust chokes you. Battles against Seljuks where arrows whistle like vengeful spirits, your shields splintering the thrill of close-quarters carnage, blades gutting bellies, entrails spilling steaming onto parched earth. Jerusalem calls holy yet haunted your feet tracing pilgrim paths slick with the blood of crusades past, bathing in the Jordan's waters, its current essential embrace washing sins, but vows burn deeper to claim a kingdom, ambition, a fire in your loins. Intrigue shadows campaigns, a Byzantine general's envy plotting your downfall poison in camp wine, or a accidental arrow in the fray, while a captive woman's eyes promise forbidden ecstasy, her touch, electric into tense shadows, alliance or trap woven with desire's threads. Supernatural portents punctuate eclipses, omen defeats, relics glowing with eerie power, saints' bones invoked to curse enemies, their agonies echoing in your dreams. A decade of fighting for emperors hardens you wealth amassed in looted gold, but now you fight for self, the Empire's savage splendour fueling your hunger for noise, throne betrayals and battles forging a legend amid the gore and glory. You ascend through Byzantium's treacherous ranks, coups swirling like desert sands, emperors rising and falling in bloodied spectacles, throats slit in opulent baths, eyes gouged in torchlit halls, your axe dripping with the viscera of traitors. Wealth amasses gold from sacked cities, piling in your coffers, jewels glinting like forbidden desires, but envy brews. Courtiers whisper of your threat, their smiles veils over daggers. A eunuch's plot to poison your mead thwarted by a loyal Varangian's blade crunching into his neck. Supernatural omens heighten paranoia comets, streaking as harbingers, relics humming with eerie power. Saints' curses invoked against you, shadows seeming to shift with ghostly malice. Escape demands nerve, you feign loyalty while plotting flight. A lover's embrace in silken chambers, a distraction her moans masking the clink of smuggled treasure, but betrayal lurks her brother's intrigue threatening exposure. A daring breakout walls scaled under moonless skies, guards' throats silenced in gurgling silence, your ship slicing waves toward freedom, heart pounding with the thrill of evasion. A decade fighting for others' ends, now self-rule's ambition, a savage fire wealth, your weapon for Norway's throne haunted by Byzantium's ghosts, and the visceral scars of survival amid intrigue's deadly dance. You sail back to Scandinavia, ship laden with Byzantine gold and a hardened army fjords welcoming like old lovers, but Norway's throne pulses with intrigue, Swain of Denmark, your uneasy ally, a pact forged in mead halls where smiles hide daggers, his eyes lingering on your treasure with covetous fire. Power sharing with nephew Magnus, a tense dance of thrones, his youth clashing with your experience court whispers of betrayal, a Jarl's daughter offering sensual alliance, her touch electric amid furred beds, but her father's plot simmers, poison in horn or axe in the dark. Magnus falls mysterious perhaps, a cursed relic's whisper or rival's blade leaving you sole king, Norway yours in a savage grasp, but Denmark beckons, ambition unrelenting. Raids commence, towns burning, in crimson nights, screams visceral as longships carve coasts, but holding land eludes pride your chain. You rule firmly taxes extracted with iron fist, churches rising amid pagan groves, poetry patronised in halls echoing with Skald's verses, your son Olaf groomed in war's brutal school, his eyes mirroring your hunger, supernatural omens, shadow runes foretelling glory or doom, Odin's ravens, circling as if judging a seer's vision of Stamford's bridge haunting dreams. Return isn't peace, it's the prelude to greater violence intrigue's web, tightening your legacy forged in blood and fire. You unleash decades of fury on Denmark longships, slicing waves like knives through flesh. Raids a savage ballet of fire and steel towns torched in crimson infernos. Screams visceral as axes crunch bone blood, soaking sands under your command. Swain's heirs tremble, but pride chains you conquests fleeting. You claim lands only to lose them in counter raids, your warrior's loyalty tested in gore-soaked fields, a comrade's throat slit in camp intrigue, his betrayal, a lover's kiss turned poison. Supernatural, omens haunt Thor's thunder cracking as if judging your hubris, seers divining rune omens of Pyrrhic victories, ghosts of fallen kin whispering curses from barrows. A Danish noblewoman's capture ignites forbidden fire, her defiance a sensual challenge in chained encounters, her eyes promising alliance or assassination intrigue weaving through heated nights where desire and danger entwine. You burn Hedeby flames, licking timber like tongues on skin, but holding territory eludes retreats, bitter as mead turned vinegar, your name a terror yet throne unstable. Norway bows under your iron rule taxes extracted with brutal efficiency, rebels crushed in midnight executions, heads rolling like omens, but Denmark's crown dangles tantalizing ambition, a relentless blade carving your path through blood and betrayal. You grip Norway's throne with Viking ferocity and imperial cunning taxes, a savage levy funding armies that crush dissent, blades flashing in rebel strongholds, blood-staining snow in visceral displays of power. Churches rise amid pagan groves, crosses, clashing with Thor's hammers, your patronage blending old gods with new skalds chanting your sagas in mead halls where verses drip with glory and gore. A court maiden's allure tempts her whispers, sensual plots for favour her touch electric amid furred thrones, but intrigue lurks her kin's dagger, hidden betrayal a shadow in heated embraces. Realpolitik defines you alliances forged in blood oaths, enemies dispatched in midnight raids, their screams echoing as warnings. Supernatural threads weave through runes carved for protection seers, invoking Odin for counsel, eerie lights dancing in fjords as omens of your reign's fate. Groom, Olaf, your son in war's brutal school, his hands bloodied. Young eyes, hardening like yours, a legacy of conquest passed amid the clash of steel and desire. Culture flourishes under your gaze, poetry a weapon sharper than axes, tales of your Byzantine exploits inspiring bards halls alive with lute strings and laughter, masking the savage undercurrents of power's game. You seize 1066's chaos, England's throne, a tantalizing prize your claim woven from old pacts, and Harold Godwinson's defiance, longship slicing North Sea waves like blades through flesh. Opportunity strikes Tostig, your exiled brother allies with you. His bitterness a sharp edge, but intrigue festers his loyalty. A veil over potential betrayal, a dagger glinting in sibling shadows. Fulford's battle erupts, Yorkman's lines shattering under your axes, screams visceral as ribs crack, blood soaking earth in savage torrents. Victory sweet yet fleeting, a noblewoman's captured gaze sparking forbidden heat, her curves a distraction amid the gore promising secrets or poison in heated nights. Stamford Bridge awaits a trap sprung, Godwinson's forces charging your berserker rage, unleashing armour, shed in frenzy axe, whirling in crimson arcs, foe's guts spilling steaming. But an arrow pierces your throat, pain exploding like Thor's hammer, blood gurgling as you fall the bridge, slick with your life's ebb. Supernatural visions flash Valhalla's, halls beckoning Odin's ravens feasting on your eyes, a curse from English seers invoking ghostly retribution. Invasion crumbles your army rooted in the melee, blades clashing in desperate fury, betrayal's sting, sharper than steel perhaps, Tostig's hand in the fatal shot, ambition's savage twist. England slips away your death, a thunderclap ending the Viking Age legacy, sealed in blood-eared mud where glory and doom entwine like lovers in death's embrace. Your fall at Stamford echoes across empires. The last Viking king